There's plenty of reports about how there are negative things about being a Jehovah's Witness, which I will get into. I was kind of thinking, okay, I need a list. So I consulted ChatGPT, I know, AI and stuff. But in any case, it gave me a list of 10 things and the pros and the 10 things in the cons when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's talk about that, Hello and welcome to Next Witness a Week. I'm your host, Jonathan. Hope that you are doing well today. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps. So I was thinking about the pros and cons of being a Jehovah's Witness. And it's interesting because in pretty much everything, I can take the pro and diagnose that it's kind of a con as well. Now, the first thing that it listed was strong community. Now, I think that it's saying that there's you got all your brothers and your sisters and they'll come to your aid when you need them. So, okay, you could think of it that way. Famously, they're always saying that if you need help, they'll help you. If there's some sort of a disaster, they'll come to your aid, that sort of thing. Older person, they need something done to their house, they can count on somebody in the congregation to help them out and do the work. But that community is only a temporary thing if you change positions and you disagree with anything or you're put out, then this strong community is a non-existent community. There's kind of a two-sided aspect to that strong community with Jehovah's Witnesses. It also said that there are clear guidelines. So there are rules and regulations that if you're the type of person that needs to be instructed on what to do, how to live your life, and that sort of thing, there are guidelines that can help you to do that. But they can be rather restrictive. So those guidelines could actually be negative toward you if you have aspirations to do certain things with your life, to enjoy activities that in society are fine, but in Jehovah's Witnesses, not so much. So that's a pro/con of having clear guidelines. And also those guidelines tend to change when new light comes out or there's new procedures. So it's not quite so clear as far as a guideline is concerned. The next one I listed was extensive study, meaning that there's a library, there's lots of books that you can look at, there's all sorts of information, an extensive library that you can view to look up practically any information that you need, any question you might have. So that could be considered a pro, but also that's extensive study is biased. It is tailored towards a certain belief system, towards certain things that go against what society at large believes, and many Christian organizations believe. So the study, there's the Bible to go on, which is supposed to be the basis for Christian religions, but they have their own version of it, and they have literature that directs you to their interpretation of it, which doesn't necessarily sit right when you analyze it. The next thing that it gave was a healthy lifestyle. So that's saying that, you're not going to be smoking, you're not going to be drinking excessively, you're not going to eat unhealthy, I guess, although that seems to happen a lot in the organization. Drinking happens a lot in the organization, but, smoking anyway, we'll give them that. I guess, not contracting sexually transmitted infections, that sort of thing. But if you have a conscience and you have some basic sense, those are things that you can choose to do. That's a way that you can choose to live your lifestyle that you don't need the organization to do. So it could be considered a pro if you need to be forced to do things a certain way rather than choosing to do them because you feel that it's the right thing, the right lifestyle for you. Next thing it listed was focus on family. Okay, well, that I would say is going to be family study and family worshiping together. So I could see how that would be considered a pro. There isn't anything really wrong with that, except that your children are basically forced to live their life a certain way, and they're not given the freedom to really explore their own spirituality and to think for themselves. They are programmed to be obedient, to do what they're supposed to do, not talk back, study when they're told to do, that sort of thing. So this focus on the family, focusing family is good, but it has to be done in a balanced way. So there's the sort of pro and con there on all these things so far. The next thing it mentioned was charity work. There's a hurricane and the brothers and sisters lose a house, there's a fire, a flood, something like that. The organization will come to their aid. The congregation will fix up their place and take care of them. If there's a war situation, they could go to another home, that kind of thing. But the charity is aimed in on itself. It is not charitable in the sense of anybody. There are some examples, there's some examples of maybe a neighbor of a witness having their place repaired because they just wanted to be nice. But as a general rule, it is directed towards the brothers and sisters only. So it is kind of misleading in that way. The next thing it mentions is there is a support system. So you have, again, your brothers and sisters, your family, the brothers that could be there to encourage you spiritually, to give you emotional support, financial support, that sort of thing. But again, it is with an asterisk. It is got a hook attached to it. You have to do things a certain way or you don't qualify for the support, and you can easily lose the support system that is in place. The next one I mentioned is personal growth, and we're on number 8 now. So I got 2 more and then we'll go to the cons. Personal growth. You could say that if somebody had a rough lifestyle and they were into some shady things and they got the truth and they started reading the Bible and the publications and they had a study and then they learned to be more expressive and to learn to preach to other people as well and live a clean lifestyle, you could call that personal growth. You could take somebody who is, say, illiterate and they are taught how to read, and now they have that ability and they're able to educate themselves and increase their vocabulary and their intelligence. That's all great stuff too. But you are only allowed to learn certain things. You are limited in what you're allowed to do. Your personal growth as a worldly person could be meditation. Not in the sense of like thinking about scriptures or something in the watchtower, but meditation as in relaxation or yoga or learning about religions of the world and other cultures and that sort of thing. So those sort of things would be not encouraged as a Jehovah's Witness. In fact, you could get in trouble because some of them could be considered not immorality, but spiritism or idolatry or getting involved in religions, and that's something that would definitely be a no-no. So again, these pros and cons, they're a bit on the con when you put a little thought into it. You have a clear identity is the number 9 thing that it listed. So you're identified as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. If you believe that the end is coming soon and the Great Tribulation is going to start, that you have that identifying mark as a Christian, as one of God's people, and that you are able to survive into the new world because you have that clear identity. But also, if you believe that, you're also setting yourself up for persecution Somebody who is identified as a Jehovah's Witness could be attacked because of their views, that some may find that they are hateful in certain respects when it comes to LGBTQ, I+, or any number of things. They may actually be hostile towards them, so that identity can be a negative as well. And the final thing it talks about is simplicity. So living a simple lifestyle. You're not all about money and materialism. And okay, it's better to be simple. Pursuing money and trying to get rich isn't really going to satisfy you. It's been proven that the more money you make, the more money you want, the more money you need, and it's just a vicious cycle. So could be considered a pro there, but also simplicity means you're limiting your ability to enjoy life because you are not allowed to pursue these things because you have to give your time to the organization. So there's the pros/cons. Now let's talk about the cons real quick. Social isolation. That's kind of self-explanatory because you are supposed to be separate from the world, and so you don't get to enjoy life with other people because you have to be separate. Medical restrictions. The blood doctrine. That's an easy one. At a certain time, you couldn't have a heart transplant or a kidney transplant or something like that because it was considered cannibalism. There's restrictions in that. Some people have differing views when it comes to injections, and it comes to that sort of thing. The time commitment. Your life is just for the truth. It's for having a good meeting, having a study, etc., etc. The fourth one is excommunication. That's pretty self-explanatory. The shunning issue. That has been a huge issue that has plagued Jehovah's Witnesses for many years. Losing your support system, losing your family. Limited higher education. So Jehovah's Witnesses are one of the poorer groups of people because they are encouraged not to seek higher education. Maybe a trade school, maybe a community college, but as far as being a doctor, a lawyer, something that an engineer, something that takes a high education, they are told, don't do that. The end is coming. You don't have time for that. And so the opportunities you might have had are limited, and you find yourself doing manual labor or doing unskilled work. You have less opportunities in life. A rigid belief system. So you lack personal freedoms, and it crushes your critical thinking skills. When they say critical thinking, they think of criticizing the organization, but that is not what that is. That is being critical as in analyzing what they're talking about, how it affects you. Does it make any sense? Is it true? Really putting your mind to it and not just accepting what they say as the truth. The next one is social stigma. So again, their reputation right now is not so great because there's a lot of things going on in the governments and in different countries when it comes to SA and CSA, reports from different countries, reports on the news of elders who are accused and convicted of these crimes. And so there is a stigma of that, also of the blood issue again, and also of the shunning issue. So it's a huge deal, and there's a stigma of being classified as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Number 8, political neutrality. So if you live in a country, say the United States, and you see a certain politician who has some, shall we say, interesting views when it comes to power that seem to be sort of tyrannical, you're not allowed to vote. You don't get to voice your opinion. You don't get to put your 2 cents into it, and you just have to live with the consequences of that. They say, well, the end's coming soon and Jehovah will take care of all that, but you have to live with the consequences of the rulers of the nation that you live in at the time. And they take away that right for you to decide to put your voice into that. So that is definitely a con. Number 9, restricted celebrations. No birthdays, no holidays. We all know about that. Something that young people miss out on as Jehovah's Witnesses, that families don't get to enjoy, that they should have the option to do so if they want to. If their conscience allows them to be involved in these celebrations, they should be allowed to do that, but they don't have that choice. And finally, pressure to conform. So, you have to live your life in a certain way, or you're booted out, or you are soft-shunned at the very least. You lose privileges. You have to do things a certain way. You have to listen to what the brothers say, the governing body, the elders, and you're not really allowed to use your own mind in things. You have to conform. And as free moral agents, we should be able to make choices about our lives, because they're our lives, not somebody else's. If we want to live a certain way, we want to do things a certain way, we should, as individuals, be allowed to do that. It's nobody else's business. If someone is, in the LGBTQ community, and that is who they are, for someone to say that is wrong for you to do is none of their business. You are your own person, and don't let anyone ever tell you to live your life a way that they think you should. You should live your life the way that you think you should. And that is the end of my list of pros and cons, pretty much just cons of being a Jehovah's Witness. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. My helper has been patiently sitting here waiting, being quiet. So thank you. And bye for now.